Okay. There's much debate and discussion about my top 25. So my top 25, that actually makes sense. So I will explain it one more time. It's about the results on the field. It has nothing to do with it's of course an evaluation that I'm making of those teams. Good to see you, Hound Dog. It's my evaluation of those teams, but my top 25 that actually makes sense is about the results on the field. Again, it's about who you played, who you beat, and how you performed on the field. Okay. What I think people are looking for is just for me to tell you who I think are the best teams in the country. Now, this is a completely different list. This is me just basically based on what I know of the rosters, the teams, certainly based on what we've seen through 3 weeks, but these are who I believe are the best teams in the country. So, for example, let's keep in mind that the best team doesn't always win the game. Clemson won a national championship in 2016. They lost to Pitt. Was Pitt better than Clemson? Well, on that day they were. But was Pitt better than Clemson? No. So we may have some teams in my list here that have lost a game to teams that I have ranked lower. These are I just looked at the standings. I didn't look at anybody's rankings. I just looked at the standings and thought about all the teams in the country and who do I think are the 25 best teams in the country. Well, I came up with 27. So understand that once you get to the teens, between the teens and the 40s, there's not a whole lot of difference. There's not a whole lot of difference between USC and BYU and Oklahoma State and on and on and on. These teams between 15 and 40, it's a toss-up. How you guys doing? Yeah, I just thought I'd fire up the live stream because this is what you guys, I guess, want to hear is my top 25 teams. My top 25 that actually makes sense. Well, that's based on what they did on the field. But this is just a list of who I think are the best teams. And I really believe that once we get to number 5, the top 5 teams in the country are above the rest of the country. I think there are 5 teams that are better than everybody else, and maybe there's still 2 better than everyone else, and we know who those 2 are, and maybe they're still better than everyone else. That remains to be seen, but I think it's fairly clear that there are 5 teams better than everyone else. All right, so this is what I've got. Here's your top 27. I think Arizona State's the 27th best team in the country. I think Michigan State's the 26th best team in the country. I know Arizona State just beat Michigan State, but this happens all the time, that the best team doesn't always win. I still think Michigan State's just maybe that much better than Arizona State, but they lost to them. They had 12 men on the field when they kicked a field goal. But yeah, I still had Michigan State above Arizona State. If you're this is my rankings of just who I think are the best teams. I got Washington. We're going super informal. So here you go. Bam. There they are, Boise State. Who's the 23rd best team in the country? Well, the 23rd best team in the country lost to the 17th best team in the country at home, but a lot of us think that they actually played the game much better than the team they lost to. This was the better team for most of the night, but they did win this game at home, or they were leading in this game at home, and they eventually lost. Kentucky. Who's number 22? Well, number 22, they're off to an undefeated start. So I think it's the 22nd best team in the country right now, based on what we've seen and what I know about them. They are not the 22nd most talented team in the country, but yeah, they're 22nd right now. The 21st best team in the country. I'm usually not a big fan of this program. Not that I've got anything against them. I just don't like how they play. And usually they're a big letdown out of conference. They lose bowl games even when they're favored. And they always lose to Washington to knock themselves out of the Rose Bowl. And that's Washington State. And I will be shocked if I don't misspell and have a typo at some point, because I'm really not a good typist. But here's your 20th best team in the country. This team's already lost. They lost to the number 16 team in the country by 1 point. So this team you're not going to find. So here's a team that you're not going to find in the rankings, because the rankings go by who won and lost the games. And so it kind of makes no sense that this particular team lost by 1 point on basically a miscue in the punting game when two guys ran into each other. Otherwise, they probably would have won the game over this other team that's, I think they're about 17th or 18th in the AP poll. So that's another thing that makes no sense about the polls, is that wouldn't you expect a team that's 20th to lose by 1 point to a team that's like 17th? But we knocked them out of the rankings. Well, I think Iowa State's the 20th best team in the country. And I think a team right there in the Big 12 that just won a huge game, relatively speaking, 17 on the line. What do you think about this team at number 19? I think this team is probably the 19th best team in the country. What do you guys think? TCU. All right, who's the 18th best team in the country? Now, this is going to be a little controversial. A lot of people are going to like them a lot higher because they've been just lighting it up. But a lot of people are going to be like, well, they don't play anyone, although they did just beat. Well, you'll see. Here we go. Is this the 18th best team in the country? UCF? Yeah, that's kind of where I eye them right now, number 18. And again, if they win all their games, I'm gonna rank them in the top 25 that actually makes sense. I'm gonna rank them much higher. But I think they're about the 18th best team in the country. I think all of the teams that I have above them, the 17 teams, are better than UCF. And that starts with, just barely, a team that, okay, here we go. This team at number 17, I have ranked much, 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 much higher. Number 5 in the country in my top 25 that actually makes sense, because what they've done on the field is they have the 2 best wins of any team in the country. Not the 2 best, but the collection of 2, more so than any team in the country. Try to find a team that's won 2 games that are more impressive than this. Just the wins, not how they performed. They beat Miami. They beat Kentucky. So I've got them ranked to number 5 in my top 25 that actually makes sense. But do I think they're the 5th best team in the country? Nope. I think they're about the 17th best team in the country, Florida. Okay. Number 16. Who's the 16th best team in the country that could just is a little bit better than Florida? It's probably the Iowa Hawkeyes, who just beat Iowa State. Close game. We just talked about. This team at number 15, they've already lost a game, but they lost a game to a pretty good team on a neutral site, and they were winning this game 21-6. And boy, we're going to find out a lot about this team very soon, although we found out they're pretty good against Auburn, because they got Washington State and Stanford coming up on Saturday, although Stanford's played like garbage. Oregon's number 15. So I think they're the 15th best team in the country. I don't know what I've got them ranked in my top 25 that actually makes sense. I don't remember. Something around there. Okay, this team I have ranked about in this spot, and I think this is the 14th best team in the country. Utah. I don't think they're quite as good as this team, and this I think this team's going to gain a little debate here because they're kind of tough to gauge at this point. they've crushed some really bad teams. And then they played a team out of the ACC on Saturday, and they didn't really play that well. But they won the game by a touchdown at home against a marginal team. So I don't know that they've really proven much, but I think they're great on defense. And we'll see if the quarterback develops. But Penn State, I think, is about the 13th best team in the country. All right. The 12th best team in the country, I have ranked much higher in my top 25. That actually makes sense because they've got a very significant win. And hardly anybody's got significant wins right now. So this team coming up at number 12, I have much higher. I have a number 3 in my top 25 that actually makes sense based on what they've done on the field. But I don't think they're quite that good. They're a good team. Their record may not turn out to be great this year because their schedule is brutal. And this team is, I got to clear out some banners. Oh, hang on. I got to clear out some banners or they're not going to let me do this anymore. So I got to kill some banners so I could make some more. They just gave me my limit here. Hang on. We're getting there. All right, finally, I believe I'm going to be able to create a banner with the number 12 team in the country. And again, they're higher in my top 25. That actually makes sense based on their performance on the field and their big win. But I don't think they're that good. They're decent. They're good. Here they are. Auburn's 12. I think they're about the 12th best team in the country. I think this next team might be a little bit better. I wouldn't be surprised if Auburn beat them. It's not like I think it's impossible for a team that's lower to beat a team that's higher. Things change week to week, and you know how college football is. This next team is a little bit better, maybe, although they have yet to play anyone, so they're tough to gauge, but they've been mighty impressive. They might be a little bit better than I thought they were preseason. I picked them to go 8-4, which isn't quite 11th in the country. Of course, 8-4 teams are usually around 20th. I think this team's they're pretty good. We'll see. Once they play Iowa, Nebraska, Northwestern, those teams, we'll see. Unfortunately, they don't play anyone non-conference. Okay, this team has already lost, and they lost pretty badly, but it's kind of understandable. This team, I still believe, is really talented, really good, and there they are. I think this is the 10th best team in the country, Texas A&M. All right, this next team, boy, I don't know. I think they've preseason they were ranked much higher than this by almost everybody. And now that they've looked kind of marginal, a lot of people are going to think that I've got them rated too high. But in the national rankings, they're actually rated a little bit higher than where I've got them. But I think, again, this is not my top 25 that actually makes sense where I rank the teams based on what they've done on the field. This is my feel for how good these teams are. I think this is the 9th best team in the country. Michigan. All right, this team's better by just that much. And I better clear out some banners. This team is just a little better. They've already lost. So this would be my highest ranked team that's already lost a game. Texas. Texas is good. All right, we get to 2 more teams before we hit the Elite 5. Because once I got past the first 5, it was really hard for me to rank the rest of these teams because I just think it's a muddled mess between number 6 is pretty clear. Number 7 through 9 or 10, 11 through 25 or so. You know, Washington State's 21, Wisconsin's 11. Is Washington State better than Wisconsin? They might be. We'll see. Yeah, the next 15 after, I think, Texas A&M at 10, the next 15, toss up. So here's our number 7 team. And then again, I think number 6 has distinguished itself, and it's not just based on what they've done this year because they haven't played anybody, but based on what we know out of the coach and the quarterback and the system and the athletes and what they do every year. This team, I'm pretty confident ranking them right there. I think they're the 6th best team in the country. All right. Now we get to the Elite Five, and if you missed my explanation off the top, I basically think that these are the 5 best teams in the country, and then I think there's a drop-off to Oklahoma. I think these are the 5 best teams in the country. And again, the top 2, we all know who they are. Those 2 may again prove to be the best and then be on their own tier and then everybody else. But I think these are the 5 best in this order. So this team's won maybe the biggest game in the college football season thus far. So they might be better than this, but I think they're the 5th best team in the country. All right. I picked these 4 teams to make the college football playoff. So they have yet to show me anything different. None of them have shown me that they cannot get to a college football playoff. If anything, Clemson has shown that they're just as good, if not better, than we thought they were. They manhandled Syracuse, of course, who's not that good. But what they did against Texas A&M, they could control that game. Alabama, Georgia haven't really played anyone, and then Ohio State hasn't really played anyone. But the 4 best teams in the country, I'm pretty confident. Here they are. And my number 1 team, I did not pick to win the national title preseason, actually. If you don't know who I predicted to win the national championship. But I think these 5 teams have distinguished themselves. And I'm going to have to see a lot more to think otherwise. So those are my top 27. I came up with 27. After that, I thought I'm just throwing teams out there. Arizona State 27, Michigan State 26, Washington, Boise State, Kentucky, Virginia's at 22, Washington State, Iowa State at 20, TCU, UCF at 18, Florida 17, Iowa, Oregon, Utah, Penn State's at 13, Auburn at 12, Wisconsin at 11, Texas A&M at 10, Michigan, Texas, Notre Dame, OU at 6, and then I think the Elite 5 separated themselves. LSU 5, Ohio State 4, Georgia 3, Bama 2, and Clemson number 1. All right. Are you guys talking? Sure you are. You were talking about coffee. Hound Dog on the line. Huskers rule. Deion Pryor. Clemson wins again. This is a waste of energy. Oh, at 3:47 in the morning. Yes, it's a waste of energy. And I better get my charger lined up or I'm going to lose power here. Prince, doesn't matter who they face. My sleep schedule doesn't exist, Hound Dog. Deion Pryor, yes. Why vampire hours? Well, I worked until 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I started to put together what will be unveiled tomorrow will be my conference rankings. The SEC's 5-5 against the Power 5. They're 12-3 against the Group of 5. They're 2-1 against the current top 25, and on and on and on. And I will rank the conferences. Of course, they still have other non-conference games to play, but some people had asked for that. Yeah, Trevor and the boys are clutch. You know, what's funny, Duck? I don't drink coffee. The last time I had a cup of coffee was I was announcing a high school football playoff game in Ohio, and it was about 4 degrees outside. And I was so cold, I just needed to drink coffee, just shovel it down just to keep my jaw loose so I could talk. I was doing play-by-play again for a high school playoff game in the playoffs, and it was like 4 degrees outside. That's the last time I had coffee. That was 20-some years ago. Yes, James. Why are you up and why am I starting my stream? I don't know. Maybe we'll start doing this. We'll do a 3 a.m. stream every night. Bama's 22. James wants to see Kentucky up there. Washington State maybe at number 17. Where did I have Washington State? I had them at 21, I believe. Number 21 for Washington State. Miami. Miami in the top 25. Oh, man, my man, Liberty. Corey, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Corey and I got together in Orlando, got to meet Corey. That was a great, well, besides the outcome, sorry, Corey, against Florida, of course, but it was a good time. So with this, I'm done doing top 25s. I will just go back to my top 25 that actually makes sense, but I wanted to basically respond to what people don't understand is my system, just basically say, okay, if you want me just to tell you who I think are the top 25 teams in the country, here they are. So yeah, so Ohio State fans, stop being mad at me. Well, you can be mad at me. I don't care. But be mad at me if you want because I ranked your team number 9 because they haven't played anyone yet. When they play somebody and beat them, they're going to go up in the rankings. And again, I will explain that I don't move teams up and down. I start the rankings over from scratch each and every week. Do I think Ohio State's better than number 9? Do I think they're the 9th best team in the country? No, I think they're better than that. But they haven't done anything yet. So we base the rankings at the top 25 that actually makes sense based on what they've done on the field. But here, I just said, you know what? These are the teams I believe are good. 1 through 27. I got to 27. So Noetic Justice believes that UCF is better than 18. Okay. Unfortunately, we're not going to get a chance to know that. They're not going to play anyone that comes anywhere close to their caliber of play. We'll see what Pitt has for them this weekend, but most likely nothing. Oh, Duck Banks also thinks UCF should be higher. Okay. I mess up with UCF. James Scott, we understand, guys, that UCF just beat Stanford. They just manhandled Stanford, but Stanford just got manhandled by USC the week before. And USC lost to BYU. So I don't know that UCF's really proving much. Dion, go to bed. Go to bed, Dion. I'm going to be going to bed myself very soon. Wisconsin's a top 10 team. Well, I've got them at number 11. Hound Dog, Michigan, and Ohio State. The Buckeyes are miles above Michigan. Yeah, well, I think the Buckeyes are the 4th best team in the country, and Michigan the 9th best team in the country. I guess that's miles. Oh, Cheryl, yes, I'm up at 3:53 in the morning. So there it is. There's my top 27. Not that actually makes sense. It doesn't make sense. That's just off the top of my head, looking at the teams. That's how I would rank them based on how good I think they are. Not based on what they've done on the field, just based on how good I think they are. So that's the ranking some people want to see. All right, everyone. So I'm going to rank the conferences and list it up later this week. I've got previews coming on Auburn, Texas A&M, Michigan, Wisconsin, Who else is playing this week? I've got all sorts. Georgia, Notre Dame. I've got a preview. I've got 3 previews actually set up on Notre Dame and Georgia. USC and Utah is a big game on Friday night. We will preview that. Yes, all sorts of previews lined up for this week. And also at 12:30 tomorrow, we've got Justin Tattavio to line up his X's and O's breakdown for this week. Right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And keep in mind that you can sign up for the Voice of College Football community. We had 3 more join us today. Voice of College Football community. Grab the description section link next to Voice of College Football community. You get all my weekly picks. Quentin, tired of seeing Alabama Clemson in the national championship game. I swear if it's them 2 again, I'm not watching. Well, according to me, in the preseason, it's going to be one of those 2, but the other one will not make it. Prince, we will see y'all later. Everybody else, have a great day, and I will be back with conference rankings and big game previews of all the big games coming up this week. If you've got any recommendations or suggestions on or requests, let's use that word. It is 4 in the morning, sorry. Requests of games that you would like to see previewed. Keep in mind, I'm hitting Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, Notre Dame, Michigan, Wisconsin, USC, Utah. Those are off the top of my head and some other ones. So we will get you all to your previews. And if you got some requests, certainly let me know. We'll see you very soon, guys. Peace out, Dion, and everyone else. See you soon.